Hey guys, let me try that again. Hey guys, I'm Evante. I am a content and brand strategist, and today we are going to dive into what actually is branding. So a lot of times you hear when people talk about brands, you hear about them talk about it in two ways. Either they're talking about a company and they're like this logo, this font, this color, right? When we talk about Target, we know the logo's red, like basic things like that. Nike, just do it. Or they're talking about it personally, where they're like my personal brand. And pretty much they're just talking about their identity. And there's nothing wrong with that. Either side of that really kind of works as a definition, but it's not how I would define it. When I was first learning branding, there was a book called The Brand Gap by Marty Neumeier. And he really breaks down branding as not being something that is controlled, but something that's perceived. Here's what I mean. It's not really the logo, right? Like, yes, while like the Nike swoosh is important and like the Target is important, right? Like what actually is important is what that thing represents. And what it represents is a brand that you can trust in. You see that Target circle and you immediately know that this stuff is going to be of good quality. Or when you're buying from Nike, that you know that there's performance behind it or that it's doing good stuff, right? Like, so it's not really the logo. The logo is a logo. It's a swoosh, it's a circle, it's two circles put together. Like, that's what a logo is. What really matters and what really takes a lot of time is determining what is going to communicate this thing. We need people to perceive and to take this in and feel their way about this thing. And that's the rub of branding, right? When we talk about anything, really, it's not about what the actual object is, but helping someone agree with feeling the same way that we do about it. For example, when you have a kid and you're trying to convince that kid to like Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts used to be disgusting. I love Brussels sprouts personally now, but as a kid, you could not get me to eat them. Disgusting, absolutely hated them. And part of that was because in every TV show, every cartoon, Brussels sprouts were like the most disgusting vegetable on the planet. But it didn't matter how my parents presented it. And they could come up with all kinds of stuff. They'd be like, yo, like this is delicious. They'd fork it in their own mouths and be like, oh, it's so good. They put seasoning on, they dress it up, they do all kinds of stuff. And when you're working with a kid, you can do anything you want to present Brussels sprouts or anything else, right? And you can be like, this is gonna taste so good. This is what makes it nutritious. It'll give you superpowers, blah, 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 right? But at the end of the day, it's gonna be up to that kid. And when they actually eat the Brussels sprouts, it's gonna make a determination if they like Brussels sprouts or not. Now, if you do a great job and you really hype it up, you may convince them to like it and get used to the flavor, right? But it's still up to them what that choice is gonna be. The same thing applies to brands. A brand doesn't really get to dictate how you feel about them or what you think of them. They get to say what they are, but they have to do it in such a way that you start to feel that way yourself. And that's what we call brand trust, right? Whether it's me as a person showing up on this screen or it's a brand showing up with products and packaging and commercials and all kinds of stuff. Branding is really about making sure that every time you see a touch of this color or this piece in this certain way, that it reminds you of this good experience that you had or this brand that you dealt with, right? What this really comes down to is consistency. And that's why we focus on logos so much, because they pop up everywhere, right? If I'm wearing a Nike hoodie, you're gonna see the swoosh in the corner, you're gonna know that it's Nike. But by seeing that swoosh, what you're actually doing is going, ah, man, I can think this about this person because they're wearing Nike. It may be a minor little thing, such as a tiny detail to say that, well, they're just paying attention to fashion trends or something like that, or they're athletic, right? But those are tiny little things that make the details of our biggest brands. So when this brand pops up, when a swoosh pops up, when they're using certain colors, when they're using certain fonts, when they say just do it over and over and over again, it builds kind of a pattern in our minds. It helps us understand and relate across the board, where they're able to say on one piece of paper, just do it, and you're able to think of athletic greatness. And like, that's the power of branding. On this channel, I'll talk about exactly how brands are built to do that. Because it's not happenstance. I mean, at one point it probably was, but like not so much anymore. And yeah, it's a little bit more than just a logo or colors or a font, but those things are definitely important and they do make up the building blocks. But we're not focused on those pieces. We're focused on what those pieces are telling us and what those pieces are communicating and helping somebody understand. There's a whole world of secret language out there. And when we talk about branding, we're really in the heart of all of it. So continue to follow along. I will continue to dive deeper into other topics, branding, advertising, marketing, and later we'll get into some series that will help you as you begin your own branding journey.